Hare Krishna. Welcome to our online reading retreat labs. So today we are going to start with Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto number 9, chapter number 3. So chapter number 3 is entitled The Marriage of Sukanyā and Śyavana Muni. So in this chapter, it has been segmented into four parts. The first part will talk about marriage of Sukanyā and Śyavana Muni. In the second part, from verse number 11 to 17, we will learn about how Śyavana Muni becomes a young man. In the verse number 18 to 23, that's the part number 3, we will learn about Śaryāti's happiness with Sukanya's chastity. In the verse number 27 to 36, that is part number 4, we'll learn about marriage of Revatī and Lord Balbhava. So now, without any further delay, let's then get started with the first part, that is verse number 1 to verse number 10, right? So I will directly go to the Vedabase. So in the Vedabase, we have already Canto number 9, right? That is liberation. We will go to chapter number 3, the marriage of Sukanyā and Śyavana Muni. And before that, we have already studied about chapter 1 and 2, and kings with them becomes a woman. In chapter 2, we talked about the dynasties of the sons of Manu. So now let's then get started with the chapter number 3. The marriage of Sukanyā and Śyavana Muni. So today we will talk about the summary of this entire thing. Then we will, in the next sessions, maybe we will be further segment the other, going to other part of it. Right. So the marriage of Sukanyā and Śyavana Muni. This chapter describes the dynasty of Śaryāti, another son of Manu, and also tells about Sukanyā and Revatī. So there are three personas we will be seeing here: Śaryāti, Sukanyā, and Revatī. Devajña Śaryāti gave instructions about what to do in the ritualistic ceremony observed on the second day of the yajña of Aṅgirasas. On the one day, Śaryāti, along with his daughter known as Sukanyā, went to the āśrama of Śyavana Muni. There, Sukanyā saw two glowing substances within a hole of earthworms, and by chance he pierced those two glowing substances. As soon as he did, this blood began to ooze from the hole. Consequently, King Śaryāti and his companions suffered from constipation and inability to pass urine. When the king asked why circumstances had suddenly changed, he found that Sukanyā was the cause of this misfortune. Then they all offered prayers to Śyavana Muni just to satisfy him according to his own desire. And Devajña Śaryāti offered his daughter to Śyavana Muni, who was a very old man. When the heavenly physicians, the Ashwini Kumar brothers, once visited Śyavana Muni, the Muni requested them to give him back his youth. These two physicians took Śyavana Muni to a particular lake. They bathed and regained full youth. After this, Sukanyā couldn't distinguish her husband. She then surrendered unto the Ashwini Kumars, who were very satisfied with the chastity, and who therefore introduced her again to her husband. Śyavana Muni then engaged with King Śaryāti in performing Soma Yajña and gave the Ashwini Kumars the privilege to drink Somarasa. The king of heaven, Lord Indra, became very angry at this, but he couldn't do no harm to Śaryāti. Hence, forward, the Ashwini Kumar physicians were able to share in the Somarasa. Śaryāti latter had three sons named Uttanabhari, Anartha, and Vurishana. Anartha had one son whose name was Revata. Revata had 100 sons, and of whom the eldest was Kakudmi. Kakudmi was advised by Lord Brahma to offer his beautiful daughter Revatī to Baladev, who belongs to the Vishnu Tattva category. After doing this, Kakudmi retired from family life and entered the forest of Badrikashram to execute austerities and penances. This was the summary, and today we'll be covering the part 1, that is verse number 1 to verse number 10. So let's then go verse by verse. Verse 1. So we'll be reading only the translations, and in the upcoming days, in another sessions, we will be going to go only the local recitation lab we will be learning about how to decide this sloka and their meaning. So let's then get started. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, O King Saryati, another son of Manu, was a ruler completely aware of Vedic knowledge. He gave instructions about the functions of the second day of the yajña to be performed by descendants of Angira. Verse number 2. Saryati had a beautiful lotus-eyed daughter named Sukanya, with whom he went to the forest to see the āśrama of Cyavana Muni. Verse number 3. Translation. While that Sukanya, surrounded by her friends, was collecting various types of fruits from the trees in the forest, she saw within the hole of an earthworm two things glowing like luminaries. Verse number 4. As if induced by providence, the girl ignorantly pierced those two glowworms with a thorn, and they were pierced. Blood began to ooze out of them. Verse number 5. Thereupon, all the soldiers of Saryati were immediately obstructed from passing urine and stool. Upon perceiving this, Saryati spoke to his associates in surprise. Verse number 6. How strange is that one of us has attempted to do something wrong to Śyavana Muni, the son of Bhrigu. It certainly appears that someone among us has polluted this āśrama. Verse number 7. Being very much afraid, the girl Sukanya said to her father, I have done something wrong, for I have ignorantly pierced these two luminous substances with her thorn. Verse number 8. After hearing this statement by his daughter, King Saryati was very much afraid. In various ways, he tried to appease Śyavana Muni, for it was he who sat within the hole of the earthworm. Verse number 9. King Saryati, being very contemplative and thus understanding Śyavana Muni's purpose, gave his daughter in the charity to the sage. Thus, released from danger with great difficulty, he took permission from Śyavana Muni and returned home. Purport. The king, after hearing the statement of his daughter, certainly told the great sage Śyavana Muni everything about how his daughter had ignorantly committed such an offense. The Muni, however, inquired from the king whether the daughter was married. In this way, the king, understanding the purpose of the great sage Śyavana Muni, Tad Abhiprayam Agnaya, immediately gave the Muni his daughter in charity and escaped the danger of being cursed. Thus, with the permission of great sage, the king returned home. Verse number 10. Shravan was very irritable, but since Sukanya had gotten him as a husband, she dealt with him carefully. According to his mood, knowing his mind, she performed service to him without being bewildered. Purport. This is an indication of the relationship between husband and wife. A great personality like Shravan has the temperament of always wanting to be in a superior position. Such a person cannot submit to anyone. Therefore, Shravan had an irritable temperament. His wife Sukanya could understand his attitude, and under the circumstances, she treated him accordingly. If any wife wants to be happy with her husband, she must try to understand her husband's temperament and please him. This is victory for a woman. Even in dealings of Lord Krishna with his different queens, it has been seen that although the queens were the daughters of the great kings, they placed themselves before Lord Krishna as his maid servants. However great woman may be, she must place herself before her husband in this way. That is to say, she must be ready to carry out her husband's orders and please him in all circumstances. Then her life will be successful. When the wife becomes irritable as the husband, their life at home is sure to be disturbed or ultimately completely broken. In the modern day, the wife is never submissive, and therefore home life is broken even by slight incidents. Either the wife or the husband may take advantage of diverse laws. According to the Vedic law. However, there is no such thing as divorce laws, and a woman must be trained to be submissive to the will of her husband. Westerners contend that this is a slave mentality for the wife, but factually it is not. It is a tactic by which the woman can conquer the heart of her husband, however irritable or cruel he may be. In this case, we clearly see that although the Chavan Muni was not young, but indeed old enough to be Sukanya's grandfather and was also very irritable, Sukanya, the beautiful young daughter of a king, submitted herself to her old husband and tried to please him in all respects. Thus, she was a faithful and chaste wife. So now we will stop here. In the next, so to summarize, we have started with the canto number 9, chapter number 3, the marriage of Sukanya and Chavarmuni. The first segment, we had seen the entire flow on the marriage of Sukanya and Chavarmuni for its very nice, wonderful stories. It started with the story and actually toward the end, how also the Prabhupada in the purport, how he describes how the family life should be, how the today's relationship, people who are relationship coach, all, I have seen that. So they also advise different things, right? But how the Vedic Shastras describes, right, how a wife should be surrendered, and the entire description you can find out in the purport, right? So we are not actually present more of most of the thing diverse laws are so many are there. And also in India it is in day by day increasing, right? But here we have seen what should be there for the basic in conjunction, how it should be. So it is very the proper should read it again. So we will stop here. In the next session, we will be starting with verse number 11 onwards, right? Then we'll stop here. Hare Krishna.